I'm excited to be here in a room full of dreamers. What I do, I train speakers, and many of the speakers that I'm training, some of them here, they're looking at the old man. I'm 66, and they're trying to find out if the old man still has the juice. And so when I get through, I want you to let me know. But I tell them, a young broom sweep clean, but an old broom know where to go. And I know, and you know, people say, well, he looks young for 66, and I don't dye my hair. I don't dye my hair. How many of y'all saw me in the Dominican Republic? Raise your hands, please. Yeah, see, they know my secret. I don't dye my hair. But I do use mascara to cover my gray hair. I got to keep this thing real. You understand what I'm talking about? And my kids said, Daddy, you look distinguished with your gray hair. I said, baby, let me tell you something. Looking at 66, I'm not trying to look distinguished. I'm trying to look young. And I love to tell the story about one of the most embarrassing moments I had with this, because I have an allergic reaction to dye, and so I started using mascara to cover my gray. And I was speaking in the Georgia Dome to over 80,000 people. Did a speech called "It's Not Over Until I Win." And at the end of that presentation, somebody was there from the Department of Commerce, and they said, Mr. Brown, you know, our speaker canceled, and we need another speaker. Do you have enough energy to give another presentation? I said, no, I'm tired. He said, we can pay you a full fee of $30,000. I said, the Lord is able. You know, people say money won't make you happy, but everybody want to find out for themselves. Friend of mine, Rita Davenport, said money ain't important, but it's right up there with oxygen. And let me tell you something, fellas, even if you're as homeless as I am, you got some money, women will find something cute on you. Oh, he's got eyelashes like Tom Cruise, honey. He walks like Denzel Washington. I used to be so broke I'd walk past a bank and trip the alarm. It was embarrassing being poor. I was teaching my children to lie. Creditors are called house, and I say, tell them I'm not here. And they say, my daddy say I'm not home. Oh my God, poverty sucks. It's bad when you don't have any money. I don't even blow my horn at people for fear they might be broke. This is my youngest daughter, Serena. Give her a round of applause. Yeah. So part of what I want you to do right now, I want you to think about your goals. I want you to think about your dream. And I want you to think about them in three areas. I want you to think about some personal goal or dream that you have for someone you care about. My first personal goal was to buy my mother a home. I'm adopted. Born in a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City, an abandoned building on a floor with a twin brother. We were 6 weeks of age. We were adopted by Mrs. Mamie Brown. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I ever hoped to be, I owe to my mother. I saw a sign once that said, God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. Mama worked on Miami Beach. She was a domestic worker. She cooked for families, and we ate the food left over from the families that she cooked for. These were very kind and generous people. They would say, Mamie, whatever food is left over, after we eat, you can pack it up and take it home to those children that you have adopted. And Mama, she kept the children, and she could sew too. And we wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that Mama kept. And they were too small. Mama would let them out. They're too large. She could take them in. And my mama could bake too. My mama could bake a sweet potato pie so good, you couldn't eat it with your shoes on. Yeah, take your shoes off so you can wiggle your toes. And I used to say, walking around these big, beautiful homes that we had to clean, and say, Mama, she said, what is it, boy? One day, I'm going to be able to buy a big, beautiful home like this for you. Something just like this. How many have somebody that you'd like to do something special for? Raise your hands, please. Very good. I want you to think about them. And then I want you to think about your financial goals. I realized, you know, I never wanted to get rich. I just wanted to be comfortable. How many of you ever just wanted to be comfortable? Raise your hands. And I realized in order to be comfortable, you got to get rich. You know, you have to have some money to be comfortable and not be stressed out of your mind. And so I want you to think about your financial goals, and I don't want you to limit. I want you to just think about those goals and dreams that you have financially, that you like to contribute to your church or some cause that you believe in. And then I want you to think about your social contribution. I believe we live in the greatest country in the world that gives us an opportunity to live a life of contribution. My favorite book says, the greatest among you will be your servant. And so I want you to think about what will be different because you were born. You know, one of my passions is reducing the number of women who die from breast cancer. My mother was a 22-year breast cancer conqueror. One of my goals, how many men over 40, raise your hands, please? Reduce the number of men who die from prostate cancer, encouraging men to get their PSA test and their digital rectal examination. And I'll be glad when they can check our prostate by looking in our ears. Are you feeling it, brother? Up in here, up in here. You know? I'm turning red as I talk about this, but y'all can't see it. A friend of mine, he's a urologist, used to play football for Ohio State. He said, hey, Les, I was at this medical convention. Let me give you a free rectal. Said, no, buddy, you too motivated. Homie don't roll like that, all right? So I encourage men to get their PSA test and a digital rectal examination. 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer and given a 2 to 3 year prognosis. One of the things I think, and I think it's true, that the doctor should never tell someone they're terminally ill. What they should say is, my knowledge and ability to help you has terminated. My goal is to reduce the number of children that's impacted by autism. Have a godson who has autism. And teaching parents the things they need to do, things to identify before the child brain fully develops between 0 and 3. Working in prisons. I'm going to Chino Prison in California. It was in Rikers Island in New York. My goal is to reduce the recidivism rate in our prison. Teaching young men mindset development, how to become effective communicators, and how to dress like a prospect and not a suspect. Yeah. I want you to think about what cause will you stand for that you represent. It might be for the environment. It might be for our youth. It might be for senior citizens. It might be for women. What cause do you believe in? I want you to think about that. And whatever these goals are, I want you to raise the bar right now, and I want to run through a process. I want you to think about these goals and dreams. I've found that most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss. Most people do exactly what I have done. For many years, I could have been doing this much longer, but for 14 years, I didn't do it. I didn't do it because I didn't believe in myself, because I allowed my past to control my present and determine my future. For many years, I used to go see Zig Ziglar, who I consider the #1 motivational speaker on the planet, and Tony Robbins, both of them the greatest who's ever done it. And I would say, oh boy, I love to help people. How many love to help people? Raise your hands, please. Very good. And I would say, you know, my heart would say, I can do that. I love to help people. And then I would leave and my mind would ask, how? How would you do that, Les Brown? You don't have a college education. How would you speak to corporations? You've never worked for a major corporation. How would you do that? You don't have any experience in that area. I was allowing my past. I saw this movie by Tom Cruise called Magnolia, and there's a line in there. Didn't see the whole movie, came in the center, and the line was, we might be through with our past, but our past is not through with us. And I remember beginning to reflect on my past. I'll never forget, I was in this gentleman's class. I'll speak to him on the way to the airport, Mr. Washington. He's in his 80s. He's blind now. I came in his class, and I was in school, and he said, young man, go to board, work this problem out for me. And I said, I can't do that, sir. I said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. Look at me. Yes, sir. Go to the board, work the problem out anyhow. I can't, sir. And the students started laughing, saying, that's Leslie. That's not Wesley. He's DT. He said, what's DT? He's a dump twin. And I said, I am, sir. And some of the students laughed, like some of you did. And he came from behind his desk. He looked at me. He said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. That was a turning point in my life. On one hand, I was humiliated, but on the other hand, I was liberated, because he looked at me with the eyes of Goethe, who said, look at a man the way that he is, he only becomes worse. But look at him as if he were what he could be, then he becomes what he should be. And so that became a transformative relationship for me. And I want you to think about your goals and dreams, and I want to share with you some strategies on how you can make a minimum of 87% of those goals and dreams become reality. And for those of you that are real serious, we're going to be doing a variety of things and providing some tools for you to listen to that will be designed to begin to help you to deal with one of the major problems that kept most people, or rather keep most people from living their dreams. How many of you, as you look at your life, and you know you had to live over again, how many of you know you could have done more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands, please. Very good. Now, let me share with you why that is. Because, and I want you to write this down, when your desires are different from your beliefs, you will always manifest what you believe. When your desires are different from your beliefs, you will always manifest what you believe. Excuse me. And so one of the most important things is that you have to work to change your mental blueprint, that subconscious mind. You need some tools. You have to deliberately, actively do it. There's a reason my favorite book says the things I should do, I don't do. And the things I shouldn't do, I do. We've all felt stuck and frustrated. Where consciously we say we want to go this way, and then that subconscious mind takes over and takes us in another direction. And we're looking, and we don't know what's going on. And let me share with you how it works, and we don't even realize it. The great anthropologist was in Europe, Margaret Mead. She was in a restaurant, and so a waiter came up to her and said to her, he said, there's several Americans here tonight. And she said, is that right? He said, yes. She said, let me know when you serve them dessert. I'll tell you exactly how many Americans are here. He said, okay. So he served dessert. He came over. He said, you couldn't possibly do that. He said, I've served dessert. She got up. She walked around. She looked. She said, you have 65 Americans here. He checked the roster. He said, how did you know that? He was shocked. And she said, because in Europe, when you eat a slice of pie, you eat it from the crust toward the tip. In America, when we eat a slice of pie, we eat it from the tip toward the crust. How many of you eat a slice of pie, you eat it from the tip toward the crust? Raise your hands, please. What else have you picked up? How many of you did that and nobody told you to do it? Raise your hands, please. This is why we have to change deliberately our mental blueprint. Faith comes by what? Hearing and hearing and hearing. We live in a world where we're told more about our limitations rather than our potential. How many of you have been told you couldn't do something? Raise your hands, please. Let me share this with you. MIT did a study. What is your name, sir? Keith. If I said to you, Keith, you can't have your dream. Forget that organization, Jen. You can't have your dream. Someone else has to come along and say, Keith, you can have it. Keith, you can do it. Keith, you can make that happen. Keith, it's possible. And then they have to do that 17 times to neutralize that one time. That's why most people are stuck. Because you have to become actively engaged in changing your mental blueprint. You have to believe. I didn't do what I'm doing now. You know why? Because I didn't believe. There are three reasons that people are stuck right now in this so-called recession. Let us say together, recessions restores resourcefulness. Here's the reason. Write this down. Here's the reason. Number one reason, most people don't believe in themselves. Things have changed. They don't believe in themselves. I didn't do what I'm doing now. For 14 years, I procrastinated. For 14 years, I convinced myself I couldn't do it. There's a proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. The fort, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. I didn't believe in myself. Here's the second reason that most people are stuck and traumatized. You talk to them about how they can begin to live their dreams, and they'll look at you like you're crazy. Most people are not aware of how to earn money with their talents, their abilities, their skills, their experiences, and their education. And that's what the global information network is about, to allow you to learn, to develop the tools, the awareness, the strategies, the game plan, how to understand, how to maximize your potential, how to monetize your dreams. Here's the other thing. Not only that most people don't believe in themselves, most people don't know how to make money with their talents, abilities, and skills, but most people don't know how to gain access to the people that will pay them for what they know. How many know people like that? Raise your hands, please. How many know people that lost their jobs? Raise your hands, okay? Out there looking for jobs. In an economy where 53% of the MBAs can't find jobs. Let me tell you why you're here. How many of you have jobs? Raise your hands, please. Let me tell you why you are here. Because you're not mentally fit to work for somebody for the rest of your life. That's why this concept appealed to you. When I said that you have something special, I didn't just say that to say it. Let me share something with you. I said it because it's true. The fact that you said yes to this opportunity, that indicates, that tells me something about you. How many of you know, as you look at yourself, look at your dreams, that things don't just happen, they happen just. There's a reason for you to be here now. Trust me on that. As much as you have chosen to be here, you were chosen to be here. I only attract millionaires or millionaires in training. You ought to give yourselves a round of applause. Now, let me share with you why you said yes, and there are many people, hundreds, who will say no. And don't become discouraged by that. The reason that the majority of people will tell you no is because the majority of people don't believe in themselves, because the majority of people live in a world just like you and I, where we're told more about our limitations rather than our potential. And so, as you look at yourself, look at your dreams, don't become discouraged when people say no. Now, let me share with you why you said yes. There's an area of the brain, it's called, it's a network-like group of cells at the base of the brain that's called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system. It filters the things that come through. And only three things get through. Things that we value, things that threaten us, and things that surprise us. Now, had you done the same marketing strategy, mentioning entertainment, you couldn't get near the hotel, am I correct? How many of you know people who you invited, had you had their favorite entertainer, they'd have said yes? Raise your hands. Because we have an entertainment-driven culture. The reason you said yes, because when you start hearing information about living your dream, controlling your life, creating a new life for yourself, living life on your terms, having more time for yourself and your family, leaving a legacy, being financially independent, you value that. Being your own person, being your own boss, you value that. That's why you saw this and you said yes. You're different. One great American said, I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dull by having a state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the still calm of utopia. I will never cower before any master, nor bend to any threat. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to face the world boldly and say, this I have done. This is why you're here, because you've got big dreams. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause. Most people don't have dreams. Most people are just trying to survive. You don't want to survive. You want to thrive. You know that there's got to be more. You know that. And you're at a place in your life where you said, I've had it. I can't go out like this. I've had it. I remember I was working on a job and they paid me just enough to keep me from quitting, and I worked just hard enough to keep from getting fired. How many of you can identify with that? All right. But no one was holding a gun to my head. I was a volunteer victim. Nobody made me do it, and I justified it. I've got to pay bills. I've got children. I've got a wife. I have a car note. I have a mortgage note. I justified. I was a volunteer victim. And then I couldn't do it anymore. How many ever get to a point where you say, I've had it? Raise your hands. Yes. I can't do this anymore. I'm going. Where are you going? Away from here. I'll tell you, I used to sit in the parking lot. They had to come out and say, let's come on in. I said, I can't come today, Let's unlock the door. Come on in. And let me share this with you. Let me tell you something. How many of you have been fired? Raise your hands, please. Been fired. Let me share something about life. God has such a sense of humor. Here I am on a job. I didn't like them. They didn't like me. And I came to work one day. I was a disc jockey in Columbus, Ohio. And I went to put my key in the door, and the key wouldn't fit. They had a note. I looked, the note said, "You're fired." They didn't have the courage to fire me to my face. Now, I'm going to share something with you. I've never told this publicly, and I'm not proud of this, but I lost it. I snapped. I said, wait a minute. I tried the key again. I said, I'm fired. I'm reading the note. I said, oh, no. Now, mind you, I'm telling everybody I don't like them. They don't like me. I don't like the job. I'm sick of them. They're sick of me. They fired me. Now I'm mad. I lost it. I drove my car on the other side of the building. There was a big window. I got on top of the hood. I knocked on the window. I said, Nick Bodie. He was the engineer. He said, yes. I said, do you know that I'm crazy? He looked up. He said, yes. I said, then open this door. He said, all right. He opened the door, and he ran back into his office, and a guy I trained named Mike Reeves. He's Pastor Reeves. I sent him to Jesus. Mike Reeves every day. When he saw me coming, he left the studio. I went in the studio. I opened up the microphone. I said, this is Les Brown. Today is September the 22nd, 1978. This is my last day on the air. They fired me. They left a note for me on the door. They changed the lock. I'm going to be on the air till they come pull me out of the control room. So tell everybody you know. Then I started getting furniture, pushing it in front of the door. Yeah, They're going to just fire me. Yeah, no, you ain't going to do that to me. No, you just can't fire people like that. No. As hard as I work for y'all, I'm not, I ain't leaving here. No, y'all. Yes, indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, there will be no music today. Yes, the man about town, Les Brown. This is my last day on the air. Now, let me see what I'm going to talk about. I talked for around 3 hours till they called the Upper Arlington police. They said, Mr. Brown? I said, yes, you're under arrest. I said, for what? For trespassing. I said, I want to leave here right now. They said, come on out. I said, sir, I can't. Why? This place is blockade with furniture. It's too much work to leave here. I've been fired. You told me that. So y'all come on in and I will leave. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not resisting arrest. Tell everybody I'm not resisting arrest. It's just the furniture in front of the door. I want to come out, but I'm fired, so I'm not working. No, I'm not doing that. How many have ever been temporarily insane? Raise your hands, please. They had to tear the door off the hinges. They came in, and I had my hands up, and they handcuffed me. And fortunately, Sergeant James Jackson, he was a sergeant then in Columbus, Ohio, he drove up to Upper Arlington. He said, I don't have jurisdiction here. He said, I heard everything on the radio. He said, Les, He said, if we take the handcuffs off, will you leave and not come back? And I said, yes, my work is through here, and please hurry and take them off because my face is itching. So he said to them, let him go. And the guy said, we're going to take him in because he was trespassing. And he said, well, you're not going to be able to get him to the car. Have you looked outside? He says, no, we haven't. He looked out, over 3,000 people had packed the parking lot. So he said, well, we will call backup. He said, pick up the phone. They picked up the phone, the lines were cut. He said, Mr. Brown, yes, if we let you go, you promise not to come back here again. I said, I promise. I'm through here. And they unhandcuffed me. I came out and people applauded, and that was the last time I was there. Now let me share something with you about life. Marion White said, in life, so you have a goal and dream, things are going to happen to you. Think it not strange that you are faced the fiery furnaces of this world. Things will happen to you. You're going to come under attack. That's a part of it. That's why most people give up and they throw in the towel on themselves. And so, but Marion White said, in life, when you don't have enough courage or insight to know that you have outgrown a situation and it's time to move on, life will move on you. See, I don't believe that millions of people have lost their jobs. I think that millions of people have been released to do that which they were chosen to do from the beginning of time.